Welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 166. I'm your host tonight, and my name is Shorty, and I have just one bean on the line with me, and it's not Cracker. Cracker has let us down. He's broken his streak. We are instead joined by Chewy. How's it going, mate?
Good, mate. I'll try to be an adequate replacement. Big shoes to fill, big beard to fill.
Yep, he does wear very big shoes, so yes.
Much bigger than you and I, I'm sure. Probably because he's about a foot and a half taller than us.
Yep.
But good to be on. Hope Cracker is resting up. Yeah, just feeling a bit under the weather. It's that time of year, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it's freezing in Melbourne.
I just had
super windy.
Yeah, a lot of rain. It's we live up in the hills, not sort of in the burbs. It's always a couple of degrees cooler up here. But I've just had a massive delivery of red gum firewood delivered, and got that stacked in the woodshed. And
you got to chop it all up.
No, all chopped up. We paid the extra, okay. And but it just burns for hours. I do love chopping wood. Yeah, it is good fun. And I did start the fire tonight with some fatwood shavings and a fire steel. So not all yuppie-fied. Just got to have a bit of fun every now and then. But anyway, it's not very magic related, is it?
I mean, is anything we talk about these days magic related? It's just all tangents, isn't it? Just one big tangent. Pretty much. And
eventually you'll get back to the topic. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah. So that's right. Yep. So a bit to talk about tonight. What do we got on the on the card?
A couple of really small things to touch on, and then we're going to delve into Explorer. So we have kicked off our Explorer League this week, a couple of days ago, and we're going to go back and have a bit of a look at that because we haven't spoken about that for quite a while. Even though it is a format that most of the beans actually enjoy playing. So, we're going to sort of delve into that, have a bit of a look at the decks and what we're seeing in the metagame and what we're looking at playing or have been playing, and go through that. So, before we get into that, though, Chewy, we do need to shout out our awesome sponsors, so you can do the honours.
Absolutely. I'm just racking my brain to see whether the Delve cards are in Explorer.
No, they are not.
No, they are not.
No.
Okay, yeah. So we're not going to delve into it literally, but if you do want to get your hands on some Delve cards, because they're very powerful cards and super fun to play with, a really good place to go is Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. They are a Facebook auction group with nightly auctions, premium auctions on the weekend. They're currently running a giveaway for the Lord of the Rings set that's coming out in a couple of weeks. So go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au. That'll take you straight to the page, to the Facebook page. You can get bidding. You can get your entry into that giveaway. Pat does giveaways, every set. It's super good value. All you need to do is be there and get bidding, outbid your friends, pick up some bargains. And when you do, please tell them that the bean sent you.
Very good. All right. Well, we'll jump straight into it. So, on the last podcast, we spent a fair bit of time talking about the standard rotation or lack of rotation announcement. We went quite deep on that, but part of what was definitely, yeah. Part of what we're saying is we were expecting, more details, that sort of thing, but also there to be a fair bit of banning. So we haven't got any more on the details side of that, but Wizards did come out in, a week or something after that announcement was made to say there is going to be a ban announcement. It's an announcement of an announcement. Ban happening on the 29th of May. So that is Monday next week. So I think they wanted to do it a bit earlier, but there is actually an Arena Championship, which is like the Arena Pro Tour level event on this coming weekend.
That is standard.
Yeah, it's standard. So March of Machine draft, standard. It's 32 players and 200 grand in prizes. So these things are huge. It's just crazy EV in them, but they're quite hard to qualify for. So because of that being standard and, players already being in the testing process, all that sort of thing, they didn't want to do the banning until after it. The downside to that is the tournament's going to finish on the Sunday evening, and then the next morning we're going to have a ban announcement, and all those decks and all the time you spent watching those players play those decks is now just like out the window. We're going to have a new format. So
yeah, it's really fun to watch some of the best players in the world play for huge amounts of money in effectively a dead format, right?
Yeah, it's strange.
Push the Open back 2 weeks, gosh.
Yeah. Like, remember back in the day, we're going to go on a tangent here, Chewy. Remember back in the day, Pro Tours,
Let the record show that Shorty started the first tangent, not me. Yeah.
Hang on. You'll talk about firewood.
Yeah.
You've already got about that.
Anything before the sponsor announcement, that's a Wild West,
that's
right?
Fair game, right?
Yeah.
No worries, yeah. So back in the day, we used to have we'd have a set release, and then literally 2 weeks later, we would have the Pro Tour. And it was awesome.
Glory days.
Fresh format, pros figuring stuff out, like they set this is what the metagame's going to be, all that sort of stuff. I don't know when we got away from that and when Wizards decided, no, we can't do a banning 2 weeks before a major event because, that's going to mess up the players. Like, players will deal with it. Know. Like, that's what they do.
I don't want to watch a Pro Tour of a solved metagame, right?
No.
Because everybody plays the same deck, as we saw at the last event, right? So, having things being new breeds diversity, and you get these situations where there's these double bluffs and there's like trying to find that edge, and there's been times where, people have like rolled the dice and won the Pro Tour just because they have, done something that's unconventional. And there was a limited format, a team format with the Virulent Sliver, and, the Sliver Boys or the Sliver Bros, whatever they call themselves. They went in with a plan and, that sort of thing. And the colorless Eldrazi deck, there's, many, many examples. And yeah, rather than people playing, for a month on Arena and looking at all the data and all the rest of it, and everyone rocks up with 4 Fable of the Mirror Breaker and 4 Sheoldreds, and, you get all of those, black mid-range decks that we saw a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, Wizards is not helping themselves sell their the high-level players a product by doing it that way. So yeah, bit of a shame.
Like, what I found from that old system was, like, new set would come out, it's like, yep, sweet, go to the pre-release, and then it's like, all right, I'm not going to buy cards straight away because there's going to be a PT in 2 weeks. But then as soon as that PT happens, it's like, oh man, that deck looks awesome. And then you're rushing out to buy product or buy singles to get the cards for that cool new deck that you've just seen from the Pro Tour. And that is just gone now. We just don't get that excitement. So anyway, we can go down a huge rabbit hole on this tangent, but either way, there is a ban coming next week. It's only meant to be for Standard. They're not doing any updates for anything else. They did also announce as part of this, which we haven't spoken about, that they've said they're going to do a yearly ban update for all the formats. So once a year, and I think it's around that like September, October time, like when that set comes releases.
Mm-hmm.
So once a year, banning, that's it. Then there's no like heavy-handed banning all the time, but they've reserved the right that if there is an emergency, like something like, Oko or Felidar Guardian or something like that, like something that was completely missed and it breaks a format, they have a window to do an emergency ban. I think it was either 2 or 3 weeks after a set releases, and that's it. So
I don't
get this.
I don't hate that having a yearly ban, but limiting yourself on the emergency bans is dangerous. So, like, they have talked about wanting stability and, like people feeling that it's safe to buy cards and things. So, having a yearly ban helps that. It contributes to that. Whether that's the right choice or not remains to be seen, but having an emergency ban is still, limiting yourself on that is just hella dangerous. Because, I mean, if a set comes out and then you miss the window and then something gets discovered, and particularly in older formats, something in Modern or Legacy or Pioneer becomes oppressive and it wasn't discovered right away, you have to wait another 3 months till the next set comes out before you can ban something from the previous set. Unless they're saying we can only ban cards from the current set. Otherwise, in that window, because then you're stuck with the oppressive thing for 12 months.
Yeah.
So that part of it doesn't make sense. It's classic Wizards where they've gone, we've got some sort of sensible idea, but our implementation is just really poor. So,
the standard.
Absolutely. Like, I'm responsible for some governance and change control and stuff at work. You know, I've got 20,000 people that use my system to treat patients. 7 major hospitals throughout the state, and we have a fortnightly change cycle. But we also have, at any time, at my discretion, an emergency change cycle. So if, something is bad or something needs to be fixed quickly, we're not going to say, oh, sorry, nurses, you're going to have to go to paper for a week and a half. We're just going to fix it. Wizards, anyway.
All right, we're getting down the rabbit hole. So,
yeah.
Ban coming... Like, at a bare minimum, everyone is assuming that Fable the Mirror Breaker is gone. Like, if they don't ban Fable, I don't know what's going on. Like, whether it warrants a ban, I've heard various people's take on this sort of thing, and some people think, yep, definitely should go. Some people think, no, it shouldn't. Everyone's got their reason, but I think the general consensus is that everybody wants it gone. And so it probably will go.
It's interesting because Eldraine was actually longer ago than we think it is. But we think about the number of ban, and there's all of those cards, Okos and friends out of that Eldraine era, and then we had Uro around the same time, and all of those things that all those Simic cards. Fable of the Mirror Breaker doesn't seem as powerful as those cards, right?
No, and that's what people say. Like, it's not a broken card on its own.
No, it's not. But it's so good and it's so ubiquitous with the format. It's strangling diversity. And look, maybe Sheoldred falls into for that reason. Maybe Sheoldred or some other card from those black-based decks, whatever that might be. Maybe the Invoke Despair or something. I'm not advocating for one or the other in particular or trying to make a prediction, but just from a format diversity perspective, particularly with the, less frequent rotations, they need to have something that breeds diversity. And if something is the most played card, then it should be at least looked at for a banning.
Yeah.
So whether they do or not, I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's 2 ways that Wizards is going to go on this. They're either going to ban like one card, just Fable, maybe one other card, that's it, like really light on it, or they're going to go 10 cards and fully shake up the format, which is basically the same as a rotation. If you ban like 10 to 15 cards that are the rares and mythics that are heavily played, it's basically the same as rotating.
We're just going to ban every card in the Kamigawa set, and in the we're just going to have a rotation. Yeah, that would probably make sense.
Soft rotation. I mean, I guess it means that you still have access to the commons and uncommons, and so hopefully we'll see some of those older cards come into play with new sets as they come out. So who knows? I just don't know. We'll see.
I just want to go, I want to play this deck because it looks cool, or hey, this deck would be really good if I didn't have to play against Fable or Sheoldred, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the format, there's a lot of powerful cards in Standard, and there's a lot of sets. There's a lot of cool decks to be had, but they're that, 10%, 5% below the black cards and Fable. So, if you want to play competitively, then, you're shooting yourself in the foot by playing those. So, yeah, anyway, this is what it is. But, that's enough about Standard. Let's talk about Explorer.
Yeah, well, speaking of formats where you can play a whole bunch of Fables, Explorer's definitely one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of decks playing Fables. So, as I said earlier, we kicked off our league this Monday. So, this is our second league for the year, second of 3, and we decided to go with Explorer because none of us were interested in playing Standard, and
for all the reasons we just mentioned. Yes.
we may end up playing Explorer for the rest of the year for all those reasons we just said. So we will see, but league kicked off Monday night, and a slight tweak to the structure this time. where we now have 3 stages. We've spoken about this before, but quick rundown. Three stages. We've split all the players, about 45 players, into 2 groups. So we've got 20-ish per group, and we're going to play our normal round robin for the next 5 weeks through those 2 groups, and then we're going to take the top 10 from each of those groups through to stage 2, which is going to be something that I've been wanting to try for a while, which is playing Swiss rounds, but over a period of a few weeks. So this could be an absolute failure, and if that happens, then we won't do it again, but it might work really well. So it's going to be 6 rounds, 20 players, 6 rounds, Swiss, over 3 to 4 weeks. And then once those are all done, we're going to take the top 8 and do our usual final. So it gives the stage 2 and 3 a bit more of a traditional Magic tournament feel, where you're playing Swiss rounds and then a top 8 cut. So that's the league. It has kicked off. If you want to join the league still, if you miss the cutoff and you want to get in, because of the way the structure is set up, you can still join late for the group stage. We can just throw you into one of the groups and you can get into your round robin matches, but you don't want to leave it too late. You don't want to be jumping in probably the last week because you're going to struggle to get any matches done. So we had De Broom on Monday night after I'd already done the groups and kicked the league off, jumped on the stream and went, I forgot to register. So we've thrown him in already. But yeah, Explorer. So Chewy, have you played much Explorer?
I've been jamming some ladder, trying to find a deck that I want to play. There's I can look at metagames actually finding a good metagame shake-up of, or breakdown of Explorer is hard. But, been trying to look at that. Also, having a look at Pioneer because, those formats are getting closer and closer together. But yeah, I've been playing a bit. I think I'm at my win rate is combined win rate over the decks is 49%. So I
doing well.
Yeah. I haven't found a deck that I really enjoy. There's a deck that you've been playing, which we'll talk about a bit, that I got really excited about, but I was nowhere near enough rare wildcards. So I've got to find something else. Yep. But it's it's actually pretty diverse, and a lot of what I've been playing has been, just best of one on my phone. So not getting, I guess, the full experience, and practice for our league, because I'm not sideboarding like we would in our best of 3 matches in that event. But yeah, it's pretty diverse, and we've got a bit of a list of different decks we want to talk about. We'll divide up the ones that Cracker put on his list, but I'll start with public service announcement: do not get sucked into playing Aetherworks Marvel. It's
yes, I've tried that myself, and no.
Yeah, you want it to be good. All of the cards are cool, and yeah, it
can be good. It's one of those frustrating decks where it's I went off and I spun the wheel and I flipped Ulamog and
when you do that, it's great. But when you spin the wheel, yeah. Sometimes you spin the wheel and you go, oh, I got in a tune with the ether.
Yep.
Or I had a really creative way that somebody killed me. So they played that Archon guy that says you can only play 1 card per turn, right?
Yep.
So I killed that, and then they had fires out and they played a Kenrith. So I went, I'll kill the Ken. I tried to kill the Kenrith and they pumped it, right? And I'm like, okay, they used their mana, but I forgot they had a treasure from Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. And then I spun the Marvel, and in response to activating it, they animated the Emeria thing, so I couldn't cast the spell off the...
Yep.
Yeah. So it was just wow, that's a creative way to lose. Played opponent, but yeah. Or you just draw all of your Ulamogs and none of your Marvels and all the rest of it. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, don't get sucked into that.
Don't play that deck.
No, it's I want it to be good. It's just not. But yeah, I guess so. First deck that I want to talk about, not that I'm not interested in playing this deck. I'm not advocating for people to play this deck, but a deck you need to be prepared for if you want to start, playing the ladder, or you're going to play in our leagues. it's green-white angels, which is mono-white with Collected Company, where, you've got your Bishop of Wings and your Righteous Valkyries, and you just end up with just this enormous board of huge flyers and a whole bunch of life, and you can close out games really, really quickly. So just a really good sort of synergy deck. Resplendent Angel and Giada and all those cards that love making things bigger and gaining life. And you've got some Skyclave Apparitions and Wandering Emperors for some removal, and you just Coco people and you can just win from nowhere, or you can Coco out a Skyclave Apparition. So you need to be prepared for this deck. So damage based removal is something that you need to be play in limited numbers. Like you probably don't want to see this deck on the other side of the table when you're playing mono red, Shorty. But
no.
No.
So much life gain.
Exactly. And then they just end up with like a 7-8 flyer that you can't beat anyway.
I mean, you can't get through most of the angels anyway. Like a whole bunch of them have 4 toughness. It's like
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you've got to have a plan for this deck, or you just have to accept that, it's a matchup that you write off. So, but the deck is, it is really quite powerful, and it can assemble a very, very big board very, very quickly, and it's popular. So I'm playing through Platinum at the moment, and I reckon 1 in 5 matches that I'm playing is against this archetype. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, some of them have Book of Exalted Deeds and Faceless Haven.
Yep.
As some
Just
sort of extra love.
Fun times combo.
Yeah, exactly. Because, yay. But yeah, be prepared for this, whatever your plan is for your deck. Have at least have a sideboard plan for it. So yeah. What about you? What's got you excited?
I mean, you can't go past mono red, any format where
mono red can't go past angels. We just said that, but
yes, but any time there's a format that has a mono red deck that is viable, then you definitely got to look at that, because usually they are pretty cheap in paper for starters, but usually fairly cheap in the wild cards as well. But yeah, we've got a whole bunch of cards for the mono red decks that get on the field quickly and get aggressive. Your Monstrous Swift Spears, Soul Scar Mages, you got Bone Crusher Giants back again. We do actually have Eidolon of the Great Revel on Arena. So if you want to really burn people's face and punish them for casting a whole bunch of cheap things, like a whole bunch of angels that all cost 3 or less, then that works really well. And then a bunch of burn, Play with Fires, Lightning Strikes. We got Stoke the Flames in the recent set, so that certainly adds to it. And then
Skewer the Critics is a good card.
Yeah, Skewer the Critics. Yep. Kamano faces Kakazan is always solid.
That card is very good.
Yes.
I guess there's a couple of ways you could build mono red. Like you can Torbran Embercleave, or you can be like, the Prowess 1-drops. You can be a combination
there's the Wizards package. So if you go the Lava Runner and Viashino Pyromancer and play Wizard's Lightning, that sort of thing. So there's a bunch of different ways. You can even go old school and play the Runaway Steamkin, that sort of stuff. There's heaps of different ways you can build mono red. And
I'm kind of interested to play the Steamkin and the what's the enchantment called?
That one.
Yeah,
experimental something.
Yeah, experimental frenzy.
Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow,
yeah,
played so much of that card, can't even remember what it's called.
But I enjoyed that. But that was a mono red deck that I could get behind because it felt combo-y. But it's a it negated that mono red problem where it's just like I got them to 5, now I've got no cards.
Yeah. So, you've also got light up the stage, which is good if you want those options as well. So there's heaps of different ways to build mono red, and it is a very good best of 1 deck, but it really struggles in best of 3, and that's always been mono red's issue. But you can play things like Chandra, Dress to Kill, the 3-mana Chandra as well, that works quite well and keeps that sort of card advantage flowing. So if you've played mono red in the past, then it's a good place to start, because you will have those games where you just get people dead really quickly, and even in post sideboarded games, if you're if you get those quick starts, it can just pile on the damage so quickly. So good place to start, usually pretty cheap, and if you've played red before, easy to get into for the wildcard. So definitely give that a bit of a look.
Yep, absolutely. So a couple of decks that Cracker had on his list here is a couple of decks probably pretty close to his heart. We'll start with rogues. Cracker loves the fish style strategies, those sort of tempo, sticky threat, removal counters to protect your threat, win the game that way type things, and that's what rogues do. And yeah, definitely something that you do see on ladder and things that I've played against quite a lot. So, the rogues package. So, Thieves Guild Enforcer, Thought Thief, Brazen Borrower, Sheldred's a good card apparently. So they've got that in there, and, they've picked up Fairy Mastermind, which is the, invitational card. So it is is it Yuta Takahashi? Yeah.
Yes.
So 1 and a blue for a 2/1, flash flying, when an opponent draws their second card for the turn, draw a card, and then you can have each player draw a card for 3 and a blue. So a good addition to that deck. They play, Kaito, the 3-mana Planeswalker, and their spells package is actually really, really good. Like, Fatal Push, Spell Pierce, Thought Seize, Go for the Throat, a couple of Sheldred's Edicts, and 4 Drown in the Lock, just like as that modal card that answers so many things. You know, it's that counter spell, it's that removal spell. Whatever you need it to be, it's there. So, a little bit of the fun police, because it's like, I'm gonna, Thought Seize you and then counter you whilst my, Brazen Borrow and Soaring Thought Thief just bash you in the air. But, again, one of those decks that, if that's your jam, this is the beauty of the format, right? Is whatever your jam is or whatever you feel like playing at the time, you've got options. So, yeah, Cracker loves himself a rogue, so I like it.
What else? Like, most of your creatures have like flash flying threats, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you've never played that style of deck before, it is a lot of fun just basically playing on your opponent's turn. Just every turn, it's just like, yep, play a land, you'll go. Pass a turn, and your opponent's just sitting there going, you've got 3 or 4 mana open. It can be creatures, it could be counters, it could be removal. And, yeah, you just get to react to whatever they're doing and then just play what's going to work best for you. So, yeah, it's certainly a lot of fun.
Yeah. What else has Cracker got on his list there, Shorty? Let's just knock off a couple of his.
He's got Greasefang, which, obviously we've seen for a while, and is a Pioneer, pretty much a direct port from Pioneer now as well. Yeah, we know the deal with Greasefang. We've seen it before. You're putting Seeker's Chariots and Parhelions and Sky Sovereign flagships into your graveyard through various means with your Grizzly Salvages, your Stitches Suppliers, whether you're conniving from your Raffine's Informant, Seder Wayfinders, just so many ways to fill your graveyard quite quickly, and you can very easily put something into your graveyard on turn 2 and then turn 3 play the namesake Greasefang and just reanimate a Parhelion, get a bunch of angels, and what is it? It's 13, I think, you attack for when you attack with the 2 angels and the Parhelion. So
yeah, something like that
works quite well. One improvement that the deck's had is Eldritch Evolution. So this is, if you haven't seen this card before, it was from Eldritch Moon. It's 1 green, and as an additional cost to cast it, you sack a creature, and then you search your library for a creature card with mana cost or mana value X or less, where X is 2 plus the sacked creature's mana cost, and you put that onto the battlefield and you exile Eldritch Evolution. So it means
your
you
Stitches Supplier.
Yeah. So you can turn 1 like Stitches Supplier, you can sack it, go and get your Greasefang, or you can turn your Raffine's Informant or your Seder Wayfinder. Any of the 12 creatures that you've got that are smaller than Greasefang, you can sack them to go and get your Greasefang, and then away you go. And potentially if you're sacking a Stitcher Supplier as well, you're getting the mill trigger again, and so on. So very good deck. We've seen this for quite a while, and for a very long time. I think when Pioneer first started, it was like, oh man, this deck is just everywhere and crushing people. But it is beatable. It's 100% reliant on the graveyard. I mean, you can hardcast your Seeker's Chariot. If the game goes long enough, you can hardcast all your vehicles, so there is that side to it, but very good deck. You just kind of need to be keeping up your removal for the Greasefang, especially if they've already milled some stuff that they're going to want to reanimate into the graveyard. You just, keep up some sort of interaction for Greasefang, and then hopefully you can kill it. And you can do things like let the trigger resolve on the Greasefang so that they bring back their, Parhelion, comes onto the battlefield, and then you kill the Greasefang, because part of Greasefang bringing it back from the graveyard is that they have to return it to their hand. So, yeah, you can do things like that. But, yeah, you got to be a little bit careful. Yeah,
and I guess a bit like what I was saying with the Angels, it's a deck you got to be prepared for. Like, you have to make sure that, you've got that. Some versions also play Can't Stay Away. So if you mill a Greasefang, you can reanimate it with Can't Stay Away, and Can't Stay Away itself's got flashback. So you've got a lot of redundancy there good. As well. So, make sure you're packing some graveyard interaction in your sideboards. So, yeah.
The deck I've been playing has 4 Leyline of the Void in the sideboard.
Yep, absolutely. I've been, I've got various decks that have got like Rest in Peace, Unlicensed Hearse, Scavenging Ooze. Like, there's options out there for that.
Plenty of Graveyard Hate in Explorer. There's heaps there. You just choose what's going to work best for you in the style of deck that you're playing.
Absolutely.
Right, go another one off your list then, Chew.
So Mono White Humans is absolutely something that you need to be prepared for if you're not playing it. And it is it's mono white, like White Weenie, but White Weenie with disruption in a way as well. But yeah, so some 12 1-drops: Dauntless Bodyguard, Hopeful Initiate, Recruitment Officer. They play there's a Coppercoat Vanguard, which is like a half a Lord, Luminarch Aspirant, Thalia's Lieutenant. Thalia is a very good card in this format. There's a lot of, just like it is in Modern, the cheaper the spells get, the better Thalia gets. And Adeline hits super hard. Brutal Cathar and Ossification for removal is really, really good. And they've got Mutavaults as well, which, when you've got things that are pumping humans, it benefits from that as well. And honestly, like, if you go Dauntless Bodyguard or any of the 1-drops into Thalia, into Adeline, you're going to be winning a lot of those games. If you're like, if you're on the play, like doubly so, it's a clock. So it's disruption. It's a clock. And then, you've got things like, Mutavault to let you sort of, get through those last few points of damage as well. So, not a deck I'm super excited to play, but absolutely something you need to be prepared for. So whatever your sideboard plan is or main deck plan, you've got to think about this. So you got to think about Angels. You've got to think about humans. You've got to think about sideboarding in Graveyard Disruption as well. So, finding a deck is hard, right? So, yeah.
How many sideboard slots do we get? Not enough.
Well, it depends if you're playing a companion or not, but yeah.
Cracker's all about this mono white list. It's got 14 planes in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I might have to play a Urian deck just to fit in all the cards to hate all of the other decks. Yeah.
Put them in the main deck.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I don't love this deck. I'm not super excited about playing this deck, but be aware of it.
Yeah, definitely. I played I think it might have been Insanity was playing this list. I played on stream the other night, and that exactly like you said, that curve of 1-drop into Thalia into Adeline is just it's rough. So the taxing of Thalia,
your heart sinks a little, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then turn 4 you drop Coppercoat Vanguard, so pumps all your humans, gives them ward, and then you drop a Thalia's Lieutenant and put counters on all your humans. Like it just. Yeah, it gets out of hand really, really quickly. So
you can't afford to stumble. Yeah.
No, the Mutavaults are very, very good in this deck for recovering post board wipe. Like that was a real threat And he's got two Mutavaults on the battlefield, and it's like, well, I can wipe the board, and then you're just bashing me for 4 with your Mutavaults next turn.
Yep.
So, and then if they follow it up with something else, because Mutavaults do count as humans, because they are all creature types, so they do get pumped from the various things. So yeah,
it's a lot of damage really quickly, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right, lists that I've been looking at. So if you've watched me stream Explorer at all in the past year, you will know that I've played a lot of Creativity. So Creativity's, when I first started playing Creativity on Arena, I was playing the Torrential Gearhulk Magma Opus version, and it was good, but I found you had games where it's like, yep, a Creativity for 2, and I get 2 Gearhulks, and I flash back a Sublime Epiphany and a Magma Opus, and I've done a lot of stuff, but I'm just not winning the game. And then Pioneer version came out that had the Worldspine Worm and Xenagos. It's like, okay, this is better. Like this, like Creativity for 2, and I just straight up win the game. We don't have Worldspine Worm and Xenagos on Arena. So the closest that we've got to that is the versions that I've been playing, which is one of Sage of the Falls and one of Locust God. So if you don't know what they are, the Sage of the Falls is a 5-mana 2/5, and when it enters, when it or another non-human enters the battlefield under my control, I get to draw a card, and it's a you may, which is handy. And then if you do, you discard a card. And Locust God is whenever you draw a card, you create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. Yeah, so you Creativity for 2. Creativity is the one where you get to destroy a couple of your artifacts or creatures, and then you go and flip cards off top of your library till you hit either an artifact or a creature. So you're only playing the 2 creatures in your deck. So your Creativity for 2, you go and hit your Sage of the Falls and your Locust God, and yeah, you can make as many 1/1 flyers with haste as you have cards left in your library, and that's usually enough to win the game. So it's not quite as resilient as the Xenagos Worldspine Worm. Like, Xenagos is hard to kill because it is just an enchantment god. You're never making it into a creature, and it's indestructible. And the Worldspine Worm, if they do kill it, you do still get 3 5/5s out of it.
There's no Path to Exile in the format, right?
There are a few. There's not Path to Exile, but there are a few instant speed exile effects, or there are in Pioneer.
Wandering Emperor and such.
Yeah, things like that. So you do have to, and you've got Leyline Binding, cards like that. So there are answers to it. And but yeah, whereas the Sage of the Falls and Locust God, it is a bit easier to interrupt them. You can just kill either one of those creatures, and it's you're in trouble. And then the other hard part to the deck is that once they're in your graveyard, you're kind of stuck. you can no longer combo off, and neither of the creatures are really that good on their own. Whereas like a Worldspine Worm on its own is a perfectly fine creature to get on the battlefield and just kind of bash people's faces with it. So that deck's been doing pretty good, but I have been hearing a lot, particularly in Pioneer, that the other version, the Gearhulk Opus version, is actually having quite a bit of a resurgence because it gets to play a much more controlling game. You're playing Divide by Zeros, Prismari commands, all that sort of stuff. A bit more counter heavy, that type thing, and you can just hard cast your Torrential Gearhulks. You're playing in that version. You're playing a card that we didn't have when I was playing it previously, the Stern Lesson, which is 2 and a blue instant where you draw 2 cards and discard a card, and then you make a tapped Power Stone token, which you can use to cast your Torrential Gearhulks.
Yeah, or it's fodder for your creativity.
Yeah, fodder for your creativity, or you can just hardcast your Gearhulk. And hardcasting Gearhulk is not hard. It's just a 6-mana flash dude that flashes back whatever you want from your graveyard.
That's the version I've seen the most of in Plat at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So I think if I was going to play that deck, I'd leaned more towards the Gearhulk version. I think it just has a lot more play to it, the way it's being built now, rather than the combo version. If you're just playing best of one, the combo Sage of the Falls Locust God is probably where you want to be because it's your games are usually quicker and easier. But if you're playing best of 3, I reckon the Gearhulk version is probably where you want to be. I think it's just has a bit more play to it, has a few more options. And yeah, you can really just sort of sideboard into a full Izzet control list with Shark Typhoons and a bunch of counters and board wipes and things like that in the sideboard as well. So cool decks.
I like it.
Yeah, a lot of fun to play.
What do you think of picking up Volcanic Spite? So the 3 damage, and you can put a card from your hand in the bottom of the library, draw a card.
Yeah. So previously we were playing. Oh man, I've completely forgot what it was called. It was that, like literally that card, but it didn't have the battle text.
Yep.
So this is just a straight upgrade, just for the random time that you want to kill a battle. Fire Prophecy is the card I was thinking of. So it's just the exact same text, but it doesn't.
Fire Prophecy only did 2 though, right?
No, it's still 3.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, it's just creatures of Planeswalker. Yep.
There you go. Yep. Okay. Oh, cool. Yep. Yeah, I like that deck a lot. I think it's pretty cool. Another deck that you'll see a lot of, and thanks to the printing of Nykthos onto Arena, is the mono green Karn list. So 8 elves, Lovestruck Beasts, Old Growth Trolls, Cavalier of Thorns, to get just as many green pips onto the board as possible for your Nykthos. Kiora untaps Nykthos. Karn the Great Creator, it gives you all of the toolbox sideboard, and there is there's an infinite combo there somewhere with
it's really complicated.
with Pestilent Cauldron.
Yep.
Google it. I'm not going to try to explain it. Nissa doubles your mana, and Storm the Festival is your kind of big splashy card advantage. There's a lot of incremental card advantage, from your Karns and your Nissas and your Cavalier of Thorns and things like that. But Storm the Festival lets you kind of just go over the top. And the amount of mana that this deck can generate is quite absurd. Yeah. Like, you're like, oh yeah, it's turn 4. They can't really do anything this turn. And then it's like, oh, they've stormed the festival. They've untapped Nykthos. They've cast like 25 mana worth of stuff this turn. It's turn 5, right? Like, it's just absolutely bonkers how quickly they can go off. So yeah, this deck's really cool. It's pretty much now a direct port from from Pioneer.
Yeah, about the only card from Pioneer that we're missing is Oath of Nissa.
Oath of Nissa, yeah.
Which is just another pip for devotion, and kind of finds you the things that you want. But
it's the green ponder. But it's really, really cool. I really like it. You've got Lair of the Hydra, just to sink mana in and just have an enormous threat. And it's a win condition on its own, and it's a very, very cool, very, very powerful deck. So be aware of that. Did you know that Karn also stops the the energy artifact as well? So
yes, it works Marvel.
Yeah. Don't play Marvel. Can I reiterate that any more strongly?
Yeah. The lists are now starting to pick up Pelucranos Reborn from March of the Machine, because again, that's a triple blue pip, so really, really good for your devotion. And then it is just a solid creature. Like, you can on its own, it's a 3 mana 4/5 with reach, so it just works really well. But then you can flip it, and it becomes sort of the worm coil engine we have at home type thing. So
which is still very good.
It's crazy the mana that this deck generates. Like, you can the thing that a lot of people don't realize, like, without seeing it happen, is Storm the Festival can hit lands and put lands into play. So you can, tap your Nykthos and make a bunch of mana, and then Storm the Festival, and it's like, oh, I hit another Nykthos, and you play it, and now you have an untapped Nykthos, and then you just, as well as the other things that you put into play if you Storm the Festival,
which have extra pips.
I'll just tap that one, and now I'm adding 15 mana, and now I can flash back my Storm the Festival. Oh, I hit another Nykthos. Oh, cool. As well as untapping multiple times with Kiora and all that sort of thing. So it goes off sometimes. It's a really strong deck.
And it can just play Timmy as well, right? So you can have those massive turns, or you can just generate a bunch of mana, and Karn goes and gets Portal to Phyrexia or Cityscape Leveler, right?
Yeah.
So even the Stone Brain as a
Stone Brain breaking up combos is pretty rough. I've been Stone Brained a few times with my creativities. It's always rough.
Yep, I opened a foil one in a pack, so that's in that's in my modern Karn wishboard. So pretty happy about that. But so I like this deck because I have activated Khan the Great Creator. I've down-ticked Khan, a lot. So I'm always interested in a deck that runs Khan, and yeah, it kind of doesn't need Khan, but it's it's a win condition in that sense. So yeah, absolutely be aware of this deck. Give it a whirl, play it, and make a lot of game actions and a lot of decisions. So a really powerful deck. And it will win games on raw power, but if you can master this deck and learn to play it really well, you'll win a lot of games of Magic the Gathering, for sure.
Yep. A deck that Cracker put on his list that he wanted to mention, and I've been hearing a fair bit of chatter about, and I think you said you've seen this on Ladder as well, is the Boros Convoke list. So it gets the Convoke name from two cards. So one we saw ages ago in the recent Ravnica stuff, which is the Venerated Loxodon, which is a 5-mana 4/4 with Convoke, which allows you get to tap your creatures and they help pay the costs. And when it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that convoked it. And then we've just got a new card in March of the Machine, which is the same thing, 5-mana 4/4 with Convoke. It's got a whole lot more text on it. It's got so much more text on it that they can't even fit in the reminder text for what Convoke is. It has, when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature cards with mana value X or less from among them, where X is the number of creatures that convoked Knight Errant of Eos. Put the revealed cards into your hand, then shuffle. So the rest of the deck is filled out with a bunch of cheap creatures. So every time you convoke this creature out...
Yep.
Yeah, and token generators, yep. Every time you convoke that out, you're going to be drawing 2 creatures. Like, it's just going to happen. There's no doubt that that's going to happen. So yeah, the rest of the deck is, Ornithopters, Thraben Inspectors, Voldaren Epicures, Burning Tree Emissaries, Goblin Instigators, and Bolt Hound. That I forgot this card even existed.
I drafted Bolt Hound a few times.
Yeah. 2 in a red for a 2/2 with haste. That's just so much value there. Whenever it attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about this card.
Neither am I. Surely there's a replacement for that, but anyway, it seems to be a thing. But the other cards that are coming in this list, so we've got Forbidden Friendship, which we've seen before, which makes 2 tokens, 2 mana for 2 tokens. But Gleeful Demolition is a card from Phyrexia Orbi 1, which is single red sorcery, destroy target artifact. But then it's got, if you controlled that artifact, create 3 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature tokens. So
Ornithopter, Thraben Inspector, Voldaren Epicure, all
artifacts. Yep.
Well, they all make artifacts in either a blood token or a
Ornithopter is an artifact. Thraben Inspector makes a clue, and Voldaren Epicure makes a blood token. So not hard to turn one of those random tokens into 3 tokens, and then you can be convoking your Venerated Loxodon.
Yeah, and then your Bolt Hound makes them 2/1s, Shorty.
Exactly, yeah. So much value.
So powerful.
Yep. So
this deck is very capable of going wide very, very quickly. I like it. It's pretty good.
Dies to any form of board wipes. Just Brotherhood's End or whatever your flavour of small amount of damage board wipe is not good for these lists. So
yeah, no, it's and like you rely on your not even Venerated Loxodon does a lot of.
No, I mean you can chain Loxodons and Knight Errants together, and find more Loxodons and get your guys up to 3 or 4. Toughness.
But you're not attacking when you're doing that.
No, you're not. Yeah, you're not attacking, which is the downside, and that's what you need to be doing in this sort of list. And there's no go over the top. Like I would expect Bolt Hound to be something else that helps you go, all right, well, I've got like 20 creatures on the battlefield. Now I can do this and just win the game, rather than okay, my dudes are all just 2/1s now. I mean, that's still good. If you've got 20 creatures and they're all 2/1s, that's a fair bit of damage, but yeah.
I quite like the sideboard of this card. Invasion of Gobakhan is the the Paulo Vito Domodorosa version battle where it taxes a card in hand, and Rending Volley is good at killing stuff. Justice Strike's a good a good removal spell in the format, and Magmatic Chasm is a good way to, it feels pretty cheesy, but it's a good way to force through damage when against other decks that are going to go wide. So yeah, and Wedding Announcement for against decks with sweepers is great as well. Is there a white like heroic intervention type thing where you can give all your creatures indestructible? I know there's like Karametra's Blessing and things, but it only targets a single creature, doesn't it?
What's the one? Royce played one against me the other night. It gives them indestructible. Yeah, I'm sure there is. I can't remember what it is though.
There's something, yeah. So maybe thinking about that in the board there somewhere. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a bit of a snapshot. It's a really diverse metagame, and you can kind of play what you want, and that's why we like it. But you kind of today just focused on things that you just need to be prepared for, I guess. There's one deck that you've been playing and having a lot of fun with. So, we'll start to wrap her up, but you've been having some fun and you've been streaming this, Shorty. What are you on?
Yeah. So, jumping into Explorer, I was looking at the creativity list, been having a lot of fun with those, but every time I've played Explorer on stream, I've sort of gone back to Adventures. Has always been a lot of fun. Like Omnath lists have always been a lot of fun. There's been a bunch of different decks that have been really fun to play that, like, I sort of look at them and go, this deck has like 4 cards that were banned in Standard, so they've got to be good. Tried a few of those and they were okay, and then came across in Pioneer the Karuga Fires list, which I know you've played a fair bit of Fires when it was in Standard.
Fires, yeah.
Yep, I certainly played. I played a little bit of Fires, but that was around the time that Mono Red was also a lot of fun to play. So I played more Mono Red than I did play Fires, but I found a Karuga Fires list. So Karuga, the companion that makes you have to have all the cards in your starting deck have to be mana value 3 or greater. So you're not playing anything cheap, but it draws you a bunch of cards when you do play it. But we're kind of cheating a little bit on that mana cost. So you're playing like Bone Crusher Giant. So you do have Stomp that costs you 2. You've also got Leyline Bindings, which you're playing for 1, even though they cost 6. And yeah, you're playing all 5 colours, just a bunch of triomes and doing heaps of stuff, getting Fires of Invention into play, and then going off. So Cavalier of Flames, you get to play that, and then draw some cards, discard some cards, and then pump all your creatures, give them all haste.
Yeah, well, Kenrith and Cavalier.
Yep.
Yeah, both give all your dudes haste, which is
Kenrith
pretty cool.
Is just the ultimate toolbox. The most common mode with Kenrith is you play Kenrith and then you pay a single red to give all your creatures trample and haste. But
yeah, Cavalier
is kind of what allows you to like one-shot people often, where you can just give all your creatures plus on, giving all your creatures like +4, +0 and haste. And then if you happen to have a Kenrith in there as well, you're giving everything trample, so it just goes over the top. Omnath, broken card. We know how good Omnath is. And it works really well in this list. Of course, we're playing Fable. Why wouldn't we be playing Fable? It's just so good and works really well in this list. And then Temporary Lockdown is a card that's just really performed really well for me playing this list. The 1 white enchantment that exiles each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less till it leaves the battlefield. So it does exile your own stuff. That's really powerful. But it allows you to catch up. Your opponent goes a little bit wide and you just drop that down, gives you a little bit of a breather, and then once you can hit Fires and then start playing, a Kenrith and a Cavalier in one turn and have 5 or 6 mana that you haven't used so you can use all their activations, it's bonkers. And then, a bunch of various different sideboard cards and 4 Leyline of the Void in the sideboard, because I'm assuming that Greasefang is probably a horrible matchup, so that's probably what that's there for. But yeah, I played that on stream this week. I'm 2-0 in the league with this deck, and had a lot of fun playing it. So very cool list and something that's worthwhile looking at. But yeah, it is a lot of wildcards. It's also a lot of money in real life.
I've actually got a lot of it. Yeah, wow. I've actually got a lot of it because, as you said, I've played Fires quite a lot, but I just don't have the rares for Temporary Lockdown. But that's what is kind of holding me back from playing this, but very, very appealing. Like, this is right up my alley, this deck. So, and not surprised that you're winning with it. So it's It's got some power. I like that, there's a puzzle of sequencing your lands, like what order do you play them in and those sorts of things. And then, you're rewarded by a cheap leyline binding and then landing.
Leyline binding is just so strong. It makes such a big difference in this deck.
Why does that thing have flash, man?
I don't know. I don't know. But being able to play 1 mana and just, exile whatever, like, it's just so good. And then, when you play your Karuga afterwards, you get to draw a card because you've got a leyline binding on the field. It's like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So, a lot of fun. But, that's kind of the decks that we're going to go through tonight. General thoughts on the format? Like, good, bad? What do you reckon?
I like it. Just sometimes it can be a bit frustrating when you playing some of those decks that I just mentioned, because sometimes when they go off, they're very, very powerful, and you're like, oh, a bit of a non-game. Like, they did their thing before I had a chance to do that. Like, but like it's modern-esque in that respect. So
the reminds me of old school modern.
Old school modern, yeah. The games are either really one-sided or really interactive and intricate with a lot of jostling and positioning and thinking 5 turns ahead. So love those games. It's probably my favorite format on Arena. I'd go as far to say. So yeah, it's really good, and you can play whatever you want.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
like, and that's what makes it, for me, that's what makes it feel like old school modern, like pre-Modern Horizons, where it was like, there is, like 10 decks that you would class like tier 1, 1.5, that sort of thing, but realistically, you can play like 40 different decks, and if you know how to play that deck and you've got a decently built sideboard and that sort of thing, you're going to do well with it, and that's really cool. So my sort of general approach to playing Explorer is, to look at the Pioneer lists. If you've got a list that you've been playing in Pioneer, or you like the Pioneer format, or you just jump on the Pioneer metagame, find a list on there, and we're at the point now where 95% of the cards are going to be on Explorer, and if you're able to play a Pioneer level deck in Explorer, then you're generally going to do pretty well.
Yep,
the only thing that is, the meta is a little bit weird, a little bit skewed, because we don't have decks like Lotus Field in Explorer. Good. So that skews the metagame just a little bit, so it will be a little bit different to playing regular Pioneer. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and I've been absolutely loving playing Explorer. That is by far my favourite Arena format, and it's close enough to playing Pioneer, which is really cool. So get into it, and if you are in our league, then start getting cracking on your matches, because you've only got 4.5 weeks left already. So last thing on the way out the door, Chewy, you wanted to mention doing some paper streams. Yeah. So we announced at the start of this year that we are going to go to a fortnightly podcast, which we've mostly adhered to, which is great. But I kind of miss you guys. So what I've been doing, what I did with Cracker and with Ties and Matty P and Plunksy jumped in, we played some Commander on stream, and I was like, this is really fun. And we always talk about doing this, and we kind of don't do it very often. But I've got like the good camera with the top down view and all the rest of it. So, going to do my best to commit to a monthly on a Thursday night, paper stream. Commander will be the default, but if we've got an event coming up and we want to test some Pioneer or Modern or something, then we'll jam some games that way. But yeah, so just adding to the Shorty streams every Monday night. I'll stream once every 3 months or something. But yeah, trying to just get that content out there on those off weeks. And also just a chance to hang out with people in the Beans community and play some games with them. We've got people from all over the country, all over the world. I'd love to just sling some cardboard with them and hang out on stream. So keep an eye out for announcements. I'll be putting the word out, the call for players and things like that. And form an orderly queue, and we can shuffle up and battle. Yep, absolutely. Sounds like a lot of fun. I might have to get in on that sometime, but yeah, sweet. Now that we've all got our overhead camera setups, it makes it quicker and easier to do. So if you're interested in doing that, then see what sort of setup you can come up with. There's been a few channels where we've chatted about it a little bit, the different boom arms and things like that are super cheap to get off of like Amazon or eBay or something like that. So it's very easy to have a good setup and have a good top-down view for, really not very much money. You don't need a fancy camera. You can just use your webcam, but, just getting something that can go over the top is really good. So do that and then hit us up. And, if you're wanting to get in on that, you need to be in our Discord. So come and join us. If you're not already in there, you should be. It's an awesome place to be. So come and join us in there, and you can get in on the leagues and, streams and all the various things that we do. So make sure you do that. Another thing you need to make sure you do is go and check out Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. Just go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and that'll take you straight to the Facebook auction group so you can bid on the nightly auctions and get some bargains and get in on the giveaways that Pat has going on. If you head to magicbeanscast.com, you'll find the links for our YouTube, our Facebook and Twitch. And if you'd like to find us on Twitter, we are at magicbeanscast. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at PeaceInc. Chewy, you are?
At Chewy MTG.
Very good. So that's going to do us for this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.